You just said gorge, and I say gorge a lot. And someone came into my DMs and they said, "Hey, baby, only gay men say gorge."
Shaun, if you only subscribed to the straight code of ethics, you would not be Shaun. You know what I mean? You do so many gay things that are not in fact gay, they're just you, baby.
Okay, my lovelies. This week's episode, I am very pleased to announce my guest and friend, Eric Williams, a gay comedian, actor, and podcaster behind That's a Gay Ass Podcast and the Confession Hole Talk show on Instagram. He lives in LA's Silver Lake neighborhood with his husband of 13 years, currently touring his solo show. So today's episode is about what straight people can learn from gay people about sex, dating, friendship, vulnerability, and communication, with a guy who has thought about it more than anyone else. Plus, solo psychedelics, why deleting the apps was a sign from the universe, an audience question about how to tell if your partner is gay, and an unexpected, thorough tutorial on uncircumcised oral sex. My name is Shaun Galanos, and this is The Love Drive. Let's just start. We're going to start right now because you just said gorge.
Oh, I thought this whole episode was about our microphones.
I don't think so. I don't think it's a good place to start. You just said gorge, and I say gorge a lot. And someone came into my DMs and they said, "Hey, baby, only gay men say gorge."
Shaun, if you only subscribed to the straight code of ethics, you would not be Shaun. You know what I mean? You do so many gay things that are not in fact gay, they're just you, baby.
You might not know this, or the people listening might not know this, but Eric and I both interviewed Dan Savage recently. Also, congratulations, Eric. How did that feel?
Oh my God. I mean, well, the true tea, speaking of gay lingo, the tea is that he was on my podcast a few years ago. I was freaking the brunch out. And of course, he was a genius. And then I got to go on his like a few months ago and also freaking out. And then get this, I was in Seattle to do my show that I've been touring, and I'm walking to the theater. And who do I see? A handsome man in a black jacket, hoodie up. We lock eyes. It was one Daniel Savage, and we end up having a gorge conversation on that street. And yes, my Dan Savage dreams have come true, and I'm still freaking out.
So many dreams come true. That was really sweet.
Yeah, no, I've been reading him since I was in high school, and as a horny gay guy, to see a smart man like Dan, who I also would love to sleep with, and I think he knows that. I don't feel weird about admitting that on the world's most popular podcast, The Love Drive. But no, I have so many levels of adoration for that man, both intellectual and also tongue ghoul. I want to explore with my tongue respectfully.
Respectfully, yeah. So many, I feel like he was saying that he can't be on, that he's never been on Grindr. I told him that I was on Grindr because I was looking for trans women, and which is a thing in Montreal or Canada, not so much in the States. I guess Grindr in Canada, you can filter for trans people, whereas you cannot in the United States. Did you know that?
No, I did not know about the filtering. I obviously have seen trans folks on the apps, but I didn't realize that there was a filtering difference between the North American countries.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense, actually, so that you can filter for what you're looking for.
Yeah, no, but I think it gets dicey because apparently Grindr used to have filtering by like race, and that got to be problematic.
I feel like Hinge does if you
Does it?
pay. If you
Well,
pay,
let me tell you my BTS, which is that I've been married for I've been with my husband for almost 13 years, but I was never on the apps with him because we were monogamous. Now, for the past 4 years, we've been open, and so I'm on the apps really for the first time as an adult. So I'm learning the ins and outs, but here's a crazy update. As of yesterday, I deleted those apps because I was feeling that I was wasting too much time on them. I go to a party last night, and the universe affirmed my decision to delete those apps because more than one handsome man was flirting with me in a way and asked for my number in a way that was like that was the universe saying the apps are not the vibe right now for you, Eric. And I'm listening to the siren call.
I think it's beautiful. I think it's a beautiful reminder that there are other ways of dating.
Well, the in person of it all is so, I mean, aren't you hearing a lot about like the analog thing? Like people are
Yeah.
so now all of a sudden like trying to turn away from the digital dating, digital everything. And so I think like in a sad but exciting way to return to the days where we're not using our phones to connect. It feels even more exciting. And it's pressing my buttons more to have like an IRL thing. There's also so much to say for like the vibe in person with someone versus what they are communicating on a profile, which, I mean, how many times have we been emotionally catfished? I'm not saying that people are, it's not just like hot photos, but like you can curate whatever energy you want on a profile on an app, and then it could be completely counter to your IRL energy. So like to get rid of that is, I find, delicious.
And not only that, but you can start having a text relationship with someone before you meet in person. And it is
Yeah.
everything you've ever wanted to be, whether it's like hot, spicy, funny, witty, whatever. And then you get in person, you go, where's that person? What happened to that person? You're not the
Well,
same.
and I'm going to say this with all due. I'm married to a gorgeous man who is posts some really lovely thoughty things on the internet, but in person, it takes a minute for you to get to know that thoughty side of him. And so I have seen firsthand how people can, put things out on the internet that are not going to be at all your first, second, or even third impression of them in the real world. So it's sort of like it's a catch 22. I just love, there's something about like a real life eye contact, a real life energy read, a real life like hand on shoulder, and you just can't replicate that with the texting.
I wonder what it would take for me to get canceled.
The fact that you're searching for trans women on Grindr.
No, because that's out. And I told that to Dan Savage and he's like, but you're not gay. Because I told him that I had downloaded Grindr. And he's like, but you're not gay. And I go, that's right, I'm not gay. And he's like, you have done a gayer thing than I have. And now I want a t-shirt that says gayer than Dan Savage.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would buy it too, but I don't know if, do you think I'm gayer than Dan Savage?
I don't know. That's interesting. Well, I did want to kind of close the loop on that because you ran into Dan Savage and you said you wanted to do all sorts of things respectfully to his booty hole. And
Oh,
he's
just
never,
body, all top to tails. I don't need just booty hole. I don't discriminate.
yeah,
Thank
we
you.
want the whole Dan Savage package.
Yeah.
And he said that he's never been on a dating app, nor has he ever been to a sauna.
Okay, I'm gayer than Dan Savage in that sense because I love sauna.
Right. But also, I don't think Dan Savage can go to those places.
Well, it brings up a bigger question, which is if you, for example, go to a straight bar and somebody says that they are a fan of your work and they're of the female variety, does that turn you off, turn you on, or make you feel any sort of difference when it comes to debating if you would tongue kiss them or not?
It depends on if I'm attracted to them. It doesn't matter whether they know me or not. If I'm not attracted to them, it doesn't matter. So it doesn't really have
Yeah.
an impact on it that much.
No, but to your point with Dan Savage, I do understand that because he is such
He's an icon.
icon. But what if he wants to be treated like an icon in the bathhouse? Like people have a different relationship to fame. And I'm not famous, but I'm only in the past year or two coming up against like gay guys knowing who I am, and it has very much been a total mindset shift. Like, because I grew up an insecure closet case, and then it's hard to now know what people's intentions are. I made out with this guy at this like fun gay event in LA, and then in between kisses, he leaned out and says, "I should come on your podcast."
That's weird.
And so it's a little bit funny dealing with that.
Yeah, it's hard to trust people's motivations, but I'm gonna just assume that people for the most part are good. But I have dated women who it was unclear. When I remember actually one of my ex-girlfriends when I met her, I was like, "What do you?" And we met while I was traveling, while I was living in San Francisco, and I was only there for a month. And I said, "What are you doing going out with a guy who's only here for a month?" And she's like, "Well, I like your face." And I go, "Is this a face that you recognize?" She's like, I don't know, maybe." And she was a little cagey about it. And actually never got to, and then we dated for a year, never really got to the bottom of the story.
I like that though. I think that was a power play on her part.
I think it was. And actually, what it did come out that she was like, oh, you know what? I did follow you a long time ago, but then I went and unfollowed or muted everybody because I was going through like a relationship sex content cleanse. I just didn't want to see it on my social media anymore. So, anyways, neither here nor there.
We respect her journey, and we
wish
respect
her
well, and we respect Shaun being gayer than Dan Savage. And yes, I will call out the fact that you have beautifully openly discussed that you have tried to suck dick, and I know that you talked about that with Dan. So I just want to thank you again for your service of trying to be gay.
I keep trying. I had a lot of comments from people saying like, dude, if you've tried more than like just the fact that you've tried makes you gay.
No,
I know. We know this. And then a gay man came on and he goes, look, I am the gayest thing ever. And I had sex with a couple women when I was younger. Does that make me straight?
Exactly. You don't have people saying, and it's all gay panic. That's why, that's like the annoying thing about you coming out with something so just like honest and cool, and yet all of a sudden people are like, you're gay. That means you're gay. Like, people give a guy a chance to call another guy gay.
Legitimately, without it being a slur, right? Like,
exactly. Well, there's a video that I saw the other day on like TikTok where a guy shows someone a picture, goes, do you think this guy's gay or not? And the stranger goes like, yeah, that guy's a little fruity. And then they go, do you think someone would think you're gay? No.
Hell no.
Next person, they show her that guy's photo. Do you think this guy's gay? Yep. Any chance a guy can call another guy gay, they're gonna take it.
I love those videos. I watch them. I think they're so hilarious. And it's like every dude thinks the other dude is gay, and they all end up being, straight.
It's all gay panic, and it makes me like obviously sad because it takes me back to when I was growing up with 3 straight brothers in St. Louis, Missouri. And like, actually, this story I haven't thought about in ages. When I came out to my twin brother, we were like 18 years old. I have a younger brother who was at the time 13 years old, and that 13-year-old brother didn't know that I'd come out, and he was in the age of starting to use the gay slur as an insult. And we were all playing ping pong, as you do, and my younger brother, 12 years old, goes, I'm gonna say something really bad right now. And I say, go on, say it. He goes, I bet you want to suck another penis. And my twin brother looks at me being like, come on, tell him. And I was like, I'm not gonna tell my 12-year-old brother that I'm gay right after he used a slur. So I waited a few days because he's a very sensitive boy like me, and I said to him, Matt, just to let you know, I am gay, and so you should probably stop making fun of people by calling them gay because I'm one of them. And I did like a little bit of like an alien, I'm gonna eat you alive. Exactly. And his eyes got so big, and you could see his entire world come crashing down because all these fucking kids who use gay as a slur don't know any actual out gay people that are like proud to say that they're gay. And so I think a lot of straight men still grow up with like clinging to the idea of gay being an insult, and or like they love the gotcha moment. And that's why when you, Shaun, say that you suck dick, like, gay, he's gay. I knew it, he's gay.
Right, not an insult.
And yet, it's the opposite, Shaun. You're probably even more straight because you are choosing puseta. You are choosing girlies.
Puseta. I will say that if I was your younger brother, I would continue to say like, you want to suck penis, because it would be actually funny because it was true.
Yeah, and I guess I'd be like, okay, and you're wearing a blue shirt. Are we also just calling out things that are accurate? Now we're eating at Panera. What else do we want to talk about? Yeah.
Something I want to go back to. Okay, I'm so glad we're talking about all of this because my hopes for this podcast, and we didn't even introduce who you are, which we're going to do now, 20 minutes in. But Great. My whole hopes for this podcast was, what can straights learn about the gays? Because I feel like, look, the audience is mostly straight.
Yeah.
We got a couple fruity people here, but it's a lot of straight women. And we know that the straights aren't okay. And I think if I were to venture a guess, straight men aren't doing as well as straight women are.
You know better than I. I am going to hazard a guess, and I'm curious for the girlies listening. How many straight men do you think listen to your podcast? 2? Okay.
Percentage? 2.
So I'm going to say to the straight girlies listening, or queer ladies, I'm going to say that straight men are doing worse than you are, because I think they are we're now in a time where there's straight men being called out more than they ever have.
Mm.
And I think there's maybe a self-victimization by a lot of straight men. But again, you are one and you know more than I. But I feel like straight women are doing better than straight men, because straight men are like very like, I feel attacked, when it's like, no, we're just maybe calling out some problematic behavior or misogyny or homophobia, etc. Whereas straight women have sort of always known, like, I don't know, straight women have been a lot better to me than straight men. In fact, straight women were like, my safety nets, and I think that they seem to be doing at least a little better than straight men. But you can feel free to give me a retort.
No, I think I have felt safer with straight women and gay men than I ever have with straight men.
Yeah. The older I get, the less straight men I spend time with, and that's why my time with you is always such a treat and healing for my straight male history.
There are some of us out here, and they listen to this podcast, actually.
And to both of you, I say hello.
You're welcome here.
I also want to shout out the straight men that I have in my life that I do adore. I do have some, but the older I get, the more I was at this party last night. It was like, so it's just crazy to see like how the older I get with a bunch of gay guys, how we're like sort of veering off into like clinging to each other, because so many straight people go to the like home raising family, raising kids, heteronormativity that I feel like I'm straying further and further away from. But anyways, we want to talk about straight women versus straight men and how I'm the captain now, your podcast.
No, there are corrals that we're going to be going in and out of, and we're well within the okay corral here. I do want to just take a moment for you to introduce yourself. We don't even know who you are.
Shaun, my name is Eric Williams. I am a gay guy living in Los Angeles. I'm married.
Shut up.
I know. Can you believe gay guys are allowed in Southern California?
Definitely in LA. Definitely in Silver Lake.
Definitely. Oh my God, you remember I met Shaun at a Substack event because I started putting my podcast, horny bonus episodes, on Substack. I have a podcast called That's a Gay Ass Podcast, where I've interviewed people like Dan Savage. Kathy Griffin did it recently, which was a dream. Lisa Rinna.
Still trying to get Elton John, if I'm not mistaken.
I actually declined him. Yeah, I don't like Atlanta, where he lives, where he has a place.
I thought he had a residency in Vegas.
That too, I'm sure. No, I would love to interview Elton John. There's so many people I would love. My number one guest is Whoopi Goldberg, because Sister Act 2 made me gay. Yeah, I also I'm a actor, comedian, writer type. Is that good? What else would you like to know?
That's great. I mean, Sister Act and Sister Act 2 are great movies.
Yeah. Sister Act 2, Back in the Habit, is, in my mind, the number one. It is what made me gay. And I always thank Whoopi for her service. And in a way, she is kind of like a gay man, because she doesn't want to marry. She lives by her own rules, and she's not afraid of speaking her goddamn truth.
Okay. Amazing seg, because one of the things I wanted to talk about is that how queer people have had to sort of make up their own rules in terms of relationships, because the heteronormative playbook does not apply.
Yes.
So what do you think? I mean, what's been your experience with making up your own playbook?
I think there's a few elements to it. Obviously, the first one that comes to mind is the one that's like spoken of too much right now, which is non-monogamy. There's like
annoying.
It's honestly annoying, like how, because it triggers every single person. I don't know if you've noticed, like, if there's ever, I don't know if it's the same maybe for straight people, but even on my gay ass podcast, or I've gone on other podcasts and talked about open relationships, there are gay guys in the comments being like, this is fucked up. This is, we fought all those years to get rights, and now you're doing this. And it's like, those are hurt people who hurt people. Those are people who have been told by heteronormative society what equals a healthy or good relationship. And so that's sort of, in my mind right now, an annoying thing. That being said, I thought I had to be straight. Take two. I thought I had to be monogamous. I thought I had to be, I mean, I did think I had to be straight for a long time. Finally got over that hurdle. Then came out, then thought I had to be in a monogamous relationship with children in order to be like respected. And so now one of my things that has been sort of like creating my own rules is the idea of not having kids, which is very new to me. My husband and I both were like 100% in. And then we moved from New York to LA, met a lot of gay guys without children who have a house in Palm Springs, who travel a bunch, who are very close with their nieces and their nephews. And I said, wait a clock tick.
Mm.
This is absolutely gorgine. And so that's a way that I've like sort of run away from that heteronormative rule. There's the idea of like being close to your birth family. I think that I thought
Mm.
that I would be like an outcast by moving away. And so kind of building those, I don't know, the foundation of like my closeness with my own family, even though I live very, very far away. That's something. But there's a long list. I mean, what else do you think I'm missing in terms of like straight rules versus how we've.
I don't know. I just love, I mean, how can one afford to live in Silver Lake without dinking it up? You know?
Dinking it up. Yeah, no, I'm also very lucky to be married to a man who has a real job, who works at a corporation that has health insurance, which it wasn't always that. We were both musical theater actors in New York when we met, but he saw the light and luckily left that biz. And I left it in a different way. I'm now just a comedy clown talking about sucking dick on a straight guy's podcast.
So many ways for us to go here. But I remember Dan Savage saying that one of the things that he was looking for when he was looking for a partner was with a man with a serious job, because his was not a serious job.
I feel very afraid for my brethren who are two creative girls in one relationship. And I know that it obviously exists and it can be beautiful. But yeah, the older I get, I don't know, that's in a way, that's, I think, another way that I've sort of like run away from heteronormativity, which is like I really have created my own type of career. When I was even in elementary school, I was like, I want to be on Broadway. And there's not a lot of straight guys who are, dreaming of standing next to Sutton Foster.
There were signs.
There were signs. I was
signs.
a fifth grader and I heard that somebody at my elementary school had gone to high school, graduated, and went to NYU Cap 21's musical theater program. And at 12 years old, I was like, I'm going to Cap 21. I lived in St. Louis, Missouri, had never been to New York. Yeah, I'm going to go to Cap. So like I've always been pulled towards leaving the straight rules of my family, and that's sort of been the like, now of course a little deep Volney moment is that like a grieving process I had to go through was grieving the fact that I am so different from my immediate family. I've got 3 brothers who all have incredibly normal jobs. My older brother's a veterinarian. My other 2 brothers work in finance, and my dad owns a pharmacy, and it's all very like sort of, straight and quote unquote normal. And
narrow.
Here I am, the freak of the fam.
Yeah. Living in LA, dinking it up, making
Dinking it
jokes
up.
about being gay.
And like the open relationship of it all, like I don't really talk about it with my family because why would I? But I was afraid to talk about it on my podcast for a while, and now I do, because one of the most freeing things I've experienced is not putting things out and having the first thing I think of being, what will my parents say? I had to like get rid of that. What will my in-laws say? I had to, get rid of that because I'm 36. I want to live for me and not out of fear of what my straight family members will say. And that's not out of disrespect to them. I obviously love them, but I've had to really grieve the version of my life that is the same as my family. And it's sort of hard.
Would you be willing to talk about stuff, even, being fully yourself and authentic, if you knew that doing so would jeopardize your relationship
With
your
my family?
families? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I it's a great question, because I don't think it's bad to say that I would absolutely consider jeopardizing that relationship, because my whole theory about my adult life is I was closeted for over 18 years, and I'm now 18 years past that, and it's taken me.
Congrats, by the way. That's
Thank
like
you so much.
It's a big moment.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about how I've now been out for as long as I was closeted. And guess what? These 18 years of being out a lot of them been spent healing the wounds of feeling like such an alien, being told indirectly, because my family are all very open, encouraging, great people. But I grew up in a place that being gay was bad and wrong. And it was I don't think anybody was necessarily excited in my family for that when they first heard the news. Now they're thrilled and it's great, but I've had to heal.
They're still thrilled every time you come home. They're like, "Yay!"
I'm still the star, yeah, when I do visit, and I do love to feel like the star. So because of these past 18 years, I've been so much therapy of healing the version of myself that felt like I was wrong and a failure and a freak and not accepted, or I was always afraid of being shunned by my community. Now I want my next 18 years to be so unapologetically me, and whatever that ends up being, open relationship or just horny, showing my hairy tits, or just very much talking about Whoopi Goldberg or going to Puerto Vallarta instead of, Kentucky.
We can just call it PV.
Thank you so much. I don't want to brag about my bilingual alite. But yeah, no. So to answer your question, I'm like, if there is a risk that I'm going to blow things up with my family in service of my own authenticity, I absolutely would do that. And luckily so far, my family has been really on board with all the stuff I've been doing.
Well, I'm happy to hear that.
I will say part of that is because of the B word, boundaries, which is something that my Jewish family was not well acquainted with for our entire upbringings. And so I bring this up because I've got this new show that I've been touring, and it's very vulnerable and very trauma dumpy about my family, because the whole story is about my biggest bully growing up was my twin brother, who is 5'4" to my 6'2". And so my entire family are short dudes, and my mom is 4'11", and I'm the 6'2" freak that had to deal with feeling like I didn't belong. And so the boundary for that is my parents, I'm not allowing them to see the show.
Yeah.
One of my brothers saw it in Chicago, and he was great. It was
not
great.
Not the bully?
But not my twin brother. No, he's not seen it. So
your twin brother is 5'4"?
5'4".
Wow. And you're 6'2".
Yeah. He's a straight 5'4". Grew up to be a total mensch.
And you're a crooked 6'2", and so maybe you end up being the same height.
Well, I'm always doing the back bend around him just to sort of make him feel included.
I want just a real quick plug for your show, because I did see your show in San Francisco, and I think that was a bit of a surprise to you.
It was a huge surprise, and even in this moment, I am remembering how it felt to see you right after. And yeah, San Francisco was scary because it was a big theater and my first stop on this tour. And so you've seen the show. I mean, do you think it's smart to have that boundary of not having my parents see it?
I wonder what the impact is. I think I thought the show was fantastic, but I'm not your family member.
Yeah, thank you. My dream is to get it filmed, and my whole theory plan is my parents can watch it if it's on their screen, and then they can have their reaction and take a deep breath and then give me a call and say, that was amazing.
I think that's smart, actually, because you're performing the show live.
Yeah, if I'm looking into my parents' face to be like, I'm at a pool party turned into an orgy, and then my brother was a complete asshole. It's these are things that I'm not dying to see my mother's real-time reaction.
Yeah. Can you see the audience while you're on stage?
Yeah, I mean, depending on the venue.
Except for you didn't see me, which is really upsetting, because I was in the second row and I was I thought we were making eye contact. I thought you were like, I know Shaun is here. I'm hamming it up extra for him. Nope, no idea until I said hi to you after the show. And then I ambushed you after the show because there was so many gay men waiting, a whole queue of them waiting to do I'm not sure what. I don't know what happens.
You took your straight male privilege and you jumped the line, babe.
I did jump the line. I jumped the line. I jumped on stage and I grabbed you.
You did, but no, that show was a very specific. I mean, I played it off like I was loosey goosey, wild and fancy free. I was freaking out before that show, and I was probably mostly not looking at a single person's face because I was just trying to get through it. But
you nailed it all. I mean, I think there was, there was one
technical thing, but no, it's the interesting thing about doing this show is in different cities is getting the different reactions, because speaking of Dan Savage, the Seattle audience was toof stoof at the beginning of the show. It absolutely got to the right place and they were all on my side. San Francisco was there from the jump. The beginning of the show, great. Seattle, though, took about 20 minutes to be like, do we want to kill this gay guy?
What's toof stoof? Every little like shortening of a word that you've done throughout this episode, I've been with you the whole way, but toof stoof, I'm too
Can you give me
straight.
can you give me your guess as to what you think tooth stoof might be?
Too stuffy.
Let me be better about my using my fricatives. Toof stoof. There's a
Uh-huh.
foof at the end of toof.
Yeah.
It's tough stuff.
Oh, tough stuff. Toof stoof.
Toof stoof.
It was tough. It was a tough crowd.
Seattle, well, yeah, and I've heard there's something called a Seattle freeze where they're a little bit cold at the beginning of an interaction and then they sort of warm up to you. But I don't hold it against them. It was like March 5th. They had been through the horrible winter and didn't want to be alive, much less at Emerald City Comedy Club watching a gay guy talk about his twin brother. But again, they got there. They got there.
It's a great show. I'm excited for you to do another tour because
Thank
you
you.
finished your first leg and then there's more dates coming.
Yes, correct. I'm doing
So
it in
stay
Fire
tuned, people.
Island.
If Fire Island. What about Providence? Is that another big?
I'm working on that one. I would love to do it there. I'm going to try to do it. Yeah, yeah. Everybody, if you are in a
You need
city
to go
that
to
wants a show,
Montreal.
I would love to go to Montreal. Yeah,
I can
want
maybe
to.
help with that.
Oh, thank you, Shaun.
Yeah.
A true ally. There were some straight women by you, I think, at the San Francisco show. There were like a few straight women towards the front. Did you?
Maybe I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't. I was just
Did any
all
gay
eyes.
guys eye fuck you at my show?
I was all eyes on you, man. I couldn't tell what was going on.
That's
I
sweet.
couldn't tell what other people were doing.
How
But
do
I
you
was.
feel when gay guys flirt with you?
I think I'm generally flattered. Yeah. I will say though that most of the most inappropriate comments I've ever gotten on Instagram are always from gay men.
I'm not surprised. I mean,
Women are like, "Hey, if you're ever in Des Moines, I'd love to take you out for coffee." And gay guys are like, "What does your butthole look like? And can I shove my dick inside or whatever, or like, are you open? I heard you used to suck dick. Are you open to like, trying some
try
more?"
mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a fraught relationship with that because I want to be sex positive and I am, but I do think that we're currently living through a gray area of consent when it comes to DM
Mm.
language. And I'm going to be totally upfront with you. I went to San Diego for the past few days to like kind of cleanse my brain. That tour really took a lot out of me, and so I was so burnt out that I was like, I need to like take a reset. And I went by
And be
myself.
around a bunch of Marines.
I mean, listen,
Hello.
God bless America, as Samantha Jones once said. And I find myself at a gay bar by myself, which was like, I was happy to go. It's a little nerve-wracking, of course, to go to a bar by yourself and like those first few minutes sitting alone and feeling like the kid eating his peanut butter and jelly sandwich in the toilet stall in 8th grade. But eventually, some gay guys came up to me, very sweet. But at one point, a guy was kind of sitting on like a tall stool. I was standing, and he was sort of trying to flirt with me. I wasn't really having it. He put his foot, lifted it between my legs, and like lifted my junk with his foot. And I did feel a little bit violated, where I was like, it's not like, I understand that you're just sort of trying to like put your pawn forward on the chessboard and sort of like play a move, but I feel like we've missed a few steps before you lift my cock and balls with the top of your foot. Same thing happened the night before. There was this very drunk guy who asked if I was a bottom. No, he says, "You're a bottom, are you?" I said, I'm actually not, but I'm glad that that's what I'm telegraphing.
Right.
And he goes, no, you're definitely a bottom. And then he was asking about my dick size based on my shoes, and he just wasn't taking the red lights that I was giving him. And I didn't walk away feeling like it ruined my night, but there's a fine line between being flirty and being just straight up like boundary pushing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between being sexually forward and sexually harassing people.
Exactly. And I love to flirt. That's like, even when Matt and I were monogamous, he knew that I was a big flirt because I've loved the chase. I love the like, are they into it? Are they not? But I think that gay guys, it's funny. You're like, what can we learn from gay guys? I'm like, here, let's learn what not to do, which is like sometimes be telling Shaun in your DMs, you should suck my dick, and 7 times the charm. But I think that what we can learn from gay guys is what Dan Savage says, actually, which is like, when you're hooking up with somebody, with a gay guy, they're saying, do this to me, or this feels good. Like, there's a very clear communication about what we are into. And I think sexually that can be a great thing to learn from gay people. The one thing not to learn is creepy messages or like way too forward messages on Instagram just because you're horny.
Or in person, like lifting someone's, or just basically touching somebody without their consent is like really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Not all men, but always men, regardless of sexual orientation.
That's exactly right. This is the thesis we're getting to, which is that men across the board have some learning to do, no matter what sexuality they are. And there's so many factors beneath it. I mean, I was watching a video of one of my like cousin's 3-year-old kids singing at a school assembly, and I was watching the girls, these young little girls, try to sing the words and do the choreo that they've been taught. And I'm looking at these boys who are 3, 4, 5 years old, and they look like they're at a funeral, and they are not being expressive. They're not singing the lyrics. And it made me immediately sad and clock the fact that still to this day, boys and men are socialized to be told that you cannot be expressive. And I think that's one of the factors that then leads them to, maybe being gross because they didn't learn the tools of like, it's okay to say what you actually want, or like be vulnerable. It's more just like, let me just put my foot on your dick and see how it goes.
Yeah, when you said that, I was wondering like, oh, okay, so that was one approach. Like, what could he have done differently in that interaction other than just not do that? Like, what would have been a stepping stone that would have felt okay for you?
So we ironically, we're having a pretty horny conversation, which is very normal. We were having a conversation. If I doubt he's listening to this, but if he is, I'm people pleasing. I was about to people please my harasser. If you're listening, learn from my story. We were talking about a like nude cruise that like a bunch of gay guys can go on in some like gay destination, and the guys that run this gay cruise, they're serving out drinks, and the guys who are working the cruise are like fucking the guests on this little island that they take all these people to. So we were talking about it, and I was like, this is wild, this sounds crazy. And I think that
what's the name of the cruise, just so I make sure I never go?
I do think they market it pretty specifically, so I don't think you're going to be swindled into
I just want to know, just to make sure I don't accidentally show up to one of these cruises,
You know what? It would be fun for like a group project, if we were to go together and I was your bodyguard, but then we treat it as like a research excavation, a sociological experiment.
For science.
But I think if during that conversation, we can go from, instead of A to F on my D, we could have gone to, would you ever do it? And what are you into? Like, if you start to like put me on that island in the story, and if I'm greenlighting that, oh, I'm into X, Y, and Z. Like, if you personalize the experience so that I can talk about what I'm into, and if it feels like I'm like giving you green lights to continue to talk about what I'm into, that is great. In fact, this guy last night, we were at this party, we were talking, and there was like a mutual attraction, and then he's like, let's sit down. So we sat down by this little fire area, and we continue to talk, and it's very nice. And then he goes, can I get your number? And I was like, this is why me deleting the apps felt like a sign from the universe when he asked me for my number, because I was like, this feels, even me, an old married man, can feel, like I'm being asked out in sort of like a sweet, real way. And it was simply because like he didn't have to touch me or like get nasty, but it was still very like an undercurrent of horniness that felt really yummy.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a beautiful example of maybe how, what can straight people learn from gay folks, right? Is like, how can you be a little bit more forward? I think there's a lot of like fear now, maybe post Me Too, of like guys being scared of being forward so they don't look creepy, and then they're.
To me, the answer to that, I think that I suffer from this in many avenues of my life. It's black and white thinking. And I think that, to your point about like maybe men or people being worried about being too forward in the Me Too era of it all, there's this fear that you're going to go from no sort of flirting or conversation until I'm fully assaulting this person. And, newsflash, there is such a thing as a gray area and as an A to B to C. And so I think that I don't know if you can learn empathy or learn how to read body language, but I feel like most of us are hopefully equipped with a certain sense of awareness of how the other person's body language is reacting. And if you can just subtly up the ante during the conversation with either a little bit of a flirting, and if they're leaning into it, if they're yes-anding you in a way that feels really organic and, reciprocal, then up it a little bit more. You don't have to go from nothing to kiss or nothing to tit grab or nothing to boo boo boo. It's like you are allowed to further the plot a small step at a time. And then, I'm preaching to the choir too, because I still sometimes worry about like making a move to kiss. It still freaks me out as somebody who's like new to like doing it outside of my relationship. But
Yeah.
I'm starting to get more and more comfortable with it because it's all body language. I worry that I'm going to misread a cue, but you can't misread a cue if you're gradually getting closer and closer. If that person moves further away from you, well then, babe, that's your answer.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with all that gradual. If we could slow it down, in your example, homie went from talking about this gay cruise to lifting your dick with his boot.
Right.
There was like several steps missing from that. At any point he could have said like, "How would you feel if I touched you here?" Right, and didn't even actually touch you, but like kind of pointed to, or like, "How would you feel if I put my hand on your arm?" Right, and so yes, gradual body language, and it's okay to check verbally.
Right. There is another example of that. Some guy was talking about his chest for whatever reason, and I immediately was just like, I want to grab your tits because they were, really there. And what a beautiful tradition, which is to enjoy a breast on whatever gender. And I don't remember exactly what the green light was, but I sort of like got closer, and then he was like kind of like offered himself up to me, and then I gave him a squeeze. But like it felt, I definitely did not catch this man by surprise. I think that is the number one rule when physically engaging with somebody. Don't surprise them.
We love a chesticle squeeze, regardless of
Love
gender.
love a chesticle squeeze. I'm trying to grow my own tits, and I'm one step at a time.
How does one? Oh, you mean like via the gym or via
the gym?
the
What if I was
gym?
like peptides? No, I'm going to the gym. I have a fraught relationship with fitness as a traumatized gay kid from PE, but I'm actually for the first time in my life like taking up more space even physically. Like I've gained like my wedding ring. I can't take my wedding ring off my finger because I've gained like 25 pounds since I got married 7 years ago.
All
Um,
muscle, all muscle.
I'll say that. I think it's a lot of just like adult weight. It's just like I was like a Tawinkosaurus Trex when I got married. I was like 6'2", 155. Like, I was
Wow.
like, but now I'm like, 180, just like more of like a adult. So some muscle, some Tillamook.
Well, we talked about this last time when we did the Substack Live, and you shared your relationship with the gym, and I was in my peak NRE love relationship with Pharos.
Yes.
And I tried to convince you to join Pharos because
Well,
it's half industry people, half beautiful gay men, and incredible programming. And now I'm kind
yeah,
of
but
curious,
I'm
where did you
grieving.
end up?
Well, it's not. The more interesting part of this whole story is that I created the fantasy from that moment of you moving to LA for good, and then us going to Pharos together and having this friendly love affair.
Correct.
And once you decided to not to live in LA, I sort of decided it's Shaun and Pharos or no Pharos at all. And so I went to EOS, it's Gold's Gym has been bought by EOS, and I just joined. I've been one single time.
Oh, okay. Well, good. Then that's how you're growing chesticles, one workout?
Well, is this interesting? I started working out with a different friend of mine in his apartment building gym, and he taught me how to grow my tits in a way that felt very empowering. And so I started to go with him a lot, but he's been less and less interested with me coming to use his apartment gym. And so then I was like, you know what? I got to take the bull by the horns and I got this membership, and yes, I have been one time, but I've worked out at home now a few times.
Sure,
I'm
push-ups. There's all sorts of ways that I love how you're like, is
Yeah.
this interesting? Why are we talking about this? I'm just
Well,
curious because we're friends. I'm curious. I
no,
want to
I know.
know.
Even as a podcast gay who talks on a microphone all the time, I'm constantly worried about like if I talk too much about myself, is it when people are going to tune out? But you're a very gracious host, so thank you for letting me.
Also what we have is an editor who decides whether this stuff stays in or not.
Shout out.
Yeah,
Shout
what's up,
out.
Alex? Everybody, say hi to Alex.
Alex, you're doing the Lord's work and we appreciate you.
Yeah, so Alex decides what stays and what goes.
Okay, great. Well, then I'm
Yeah.
going to enjoy the ride even more.
So, okay, switching gears here a little bit, but not really. We're not leaving the corral. I got a question. I asked some people on Instagram, hey, do you got any questions for Eric? One of them, which is kind of interesting. How do I know if my partner, if my male partner, and I'm a woman, how do I know if they are gay?
Oh,
There have been
wow.
signs. And I think
Great
that's a really
question.
interesting question because I actually know of several people in my life who were partnered with a certain gender, and at some point they flipped. And it's not that they were bisexual, it's that they were like very either heterosexual or homosexual. And then at some point they were like, honey, sort of like how sometimes trans people are like, I'm a woman, and then at some point
Yeah.
it goes, whoa, I'm actually not.
Yeah.
And so how do we know if the person that we're dating isn't,
I mean, I first want to validate this person by saying like it is, I think, very normal, especially if you're like in a two different gendered relationship and a heterosexual relationship and you're like have that fear. I like think that makes sense and that's normal. To me, where it goes from like paranoia to reality is number one is secrets. I think if this guy is seemingly carrying a lot of secrets that go from like what he's doing at night or whatever, or just like how he's spending his time, if you feel like there's a truth that is not being told, that to me is something to dive into. Something really, really simple is just like if you constantly catch him checking out other guys. Like I think that it's simple but real because I will just say that I know somebody who also said that they were straight, and then it became clear that they were definitely not just a straight guy. And the reason why I didn't think that they were fully gay is because I have seen this person very much check out women and men. And I think that if this is your partner, you're going to have a pretty good idea of what he's looking at when you're walking around. And if there's a constant checking out of men, maybe he's bisexual, which I think is really hot. But does this person say what any of those signs are about?
No.
Just okay. Yeah, I mean, what do you think, Shaun?
Well, if he's using words like gorge and relation and toof stoof, maybe those are some indicators.
Good use of toof stoof.
Toof stoof. Even
no,
though
I
I really push back on the gorge one.
Yeah. Well, no, I think that actually breathes are a sign of emotional intelligence, and I don't think it actually has anything to do with him sucking dick or not, Shaun.
And all we're saying is that gay men are more emotionally intelligent, perhaps.
Well, I do think then straight men. Sue me.
Actually, I was having this conversation with a friend recently, and what can we learn from gay men, and like how to be sexually forward, how to talk about what you like in bed, all that kind of stuff. Gay men are usually pretty good at that. However, being more emotionally intelligent, talking about feelings, all that kind of stuff, maybe not necessarily. Maybe still more just men.
I highly disagree with so much respect. I think that straight
with my
men,
friend, are you disagreeing with my friend Vanessa,
I adore you in the way that I'm sure I actually would adore you if I knew you.
You actually would adore Vanessa 100%.
I'm sure I would. And also with a name like Vanessa, how could I not? I've
That's
never met a
right.
Vanessa I haven't adored. I think, though, that straight men are, again, socialized to not be vulnerable. And I think that when you are socialized to not share your feelings, whether those are positive or difficult feelings, I think it doesn't work the muscle of emotional intelligence because then you can't clock it in other people as well. Whereas I think that Gay men are constantly told growing up who they are and what they are, and we have to learn how to code switch, and we have to learn how to survive, and we have to learn how to lean on the women in our lives because those are the only people who are like really being nice to us. And I just think that we are working on more muscles. And the straight men that I do know, I mean, you're obviously one of them. I know some straight men who have great emotional intelligence. Some of my best guy friends from college are straight men who were in acting school, by the way. So like that is, a gay thing in its own right. But I think that mostly straight men are having midlife crises because they have not learned how to handle their own emotions. And so that is my argument as to why straight men I don't think are as emotionally intelligent.
I love it. And, speaking of this loneliness epidemic, maybe men wouldn't be so lonely if they were able to connect emotionally to a whole range of people.
200%. That is, I mean, I do feel, I don't spend a lot of time feeling bad for straight men, but in this moment, I do, because I think that one of the biggest joys in life is to share how you are feeling with somebody else, whether that's a friend or a partner, and feeling really seen. And that's why I have my podcast. That's why I do this show, is because sure, it's like personal stories and whatever, but people feel seen when you are sharing what you're afraid of or what you're self-conscious of. And straight men are told that if you say that you're afraid of something, you are less of a man. Imagine being told you're less of who you are because you say that you have a fear. That's, to me, so deeply sad.
Yeah.
And I think that's why there's the very classic trope of the mom who's the emotional center of the family, and the dad who cannot talk too much about much at all.
Mm.
It's because the dad was told, if you say that you have any fears or sadnesses or whatever, that makes you less of a strong person. And I think that's a fucked up part of the world that I do think is changing a bit. I do think that like there are more straight men who are learning. Like there's so many videos of like dads on TikTok, straight dads on TikTok who are like kissing their kids. And like, I don't know if you've seen this guy who's like teaching his son how to play baseball. The kid cannot be older than 3.5, but the dad's like, oh my God, this video the other day, the dad threw a strike and the kid struck out. And the dad went, yeah, that was my curveball. And then the kid struck out, set the bat down, ran out to the quote unquote field, put his glove on. And the dad said, I love how you did that. I love how you just put that bat down and got right up to pitch. You didn't throw a tantrum. You didn't boo, boo, boo. And I was watching this and it was like porn for me. It was like, oh, to have a straight man affirm his child, his son, that he did not have to have an anger attack because he struck out.
Mm.
I feel like so many young boys are like socialized to be like, yeah, it's cool when you get fucking pissed and you break your bat.
Yeah.
And we wonder why there's so many men committing violence. So it's like to see like those types of dads who are changing the narrative, I do want to shout them out, because I do know that there is some people shifting, whereas there are some other straight men who are still clinging to the idea of anger is the only acceptable emotion. Everything else, it makes you a pussy.
Yeah, it's sad. I think I'm just thinking back about my dad. He was like a successful businessman, raised 2 kids, was kind of always traveling, and really never showed any weakness until he got older and was sick and diagnosed with cancer. And that's when he let himself be softer. And it was like so sad because it was like too late.
It took something like that. Yeah.
It took something like that.
No.
And he was still keeping it. He hid his diagnoses for a long time, even from me. And
Really?
he kind of died without most of his friends knowing that he was sick. He died sort of like I think only a handful of people knew, because he didn't want to show weakness.
Oh, I mean, that breaks my heart too, but I think that it can be very sad to see a man in the later stages of his life finally get soft. But of course, there is something somewhat healing about getting to know that side of them. I mean, even my dad lately in the past few years is now saying I love you at the end of phone calls, which is new. And I think no matter when they get there, it's never too late. But I do think we sometimes have to grieve maybe parts of our dads or brothers or whoever or partners that we didn't get to experience for longer.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say that he did soften with me much earlier than he might have with other people, and I'm so grateful. Like, it was really healing to have him be a softer dad because he was always kind of a harder dad when I was growing up, you
So
know?
how did you then become
No fucking idea. I think the pendulum swung so hard into the other direction.
but there probably has to be like my woo-woo side wants to interpret all this as like you somehow knew deep down about that side of your dad because you allowed for that to come out in you. Like it had to have been in him somewhere, even if he wasn't showing it.
Sure, yeah. I mean, there's some part of that, and also, like, I really felt like a sensitive little boy growing up, like, too sensitive. I
Mm,
remember having, like, lots of sort of was just real I think it's pretty sad. I don't think I was ever really super, super angry, but my tantrums were usually, like, just really sad.
yeah,
And I think I just felt a lot, and I don't think my parents were really well equipped with how to validate and soothe, and they were there in their way,
of
but
course.
not in the way that I think, I could have used.
No, that's very relatable though. I too had a lot. I still have so many feelings. I mean, I'm now in my 30s learning how to self-soothe and how to not get validation from other people or other things. Like, it's probably why I like smoking weed right now, is because I access a higher vibrational part of myself that doesn't feel the need to be validated by other people. I just realize like I am enough, but it sometimes takes me a long time to feel that because I'm very sensitive too. I've always been very sensitive.
My experience with weed is that, well, I mean, I smoked a ton of it growing up, and I've been mostly sober now for 17 years. I just started experimenting with psychedelics recently in the last 6
Mm.
months. Yeah, super fun, by the way.
I just did mushrooms on the beach in San Diego
Alone?
alone.
Fun. How much did you take?
I've done two guided trips with like a really big hero dose,
Cool.
but this one was like I took 6 squares of this chocolate, and each square I think is like half of a gram, so it was like 3 grams.
I mean, that's a trip.
Yeah, I wanted to trip. I really was trying to like talk to Mother Nature.
Did it work?
I did cry. So that happens every time I do mushrooms. Talk about being sensitive.
Me
Every
too.
time I do enough mushrooms, I cry because I'm like, accessing some painful parts. But did it work? I think the short answer is no, because I wanted to really ascend, and I was more just like having moments of a burst of tears and then like laugh, and then it would be over, and then I just got really tired.
That's funny. The two guided trips that I've had, well, one was not guided, but I had a sitter,
Yeah,
and I took 3.5 grams, and I bawled my ass out for 4 hours. Like, I
that's
was
great though.
sobbing. It was
How
so
did it feel
good.
after you finished sobbing? What did you feel?
Oh, it was great. It was great. But also, like, I'd been sober for 17 years, and so it was like there was a lot of feelings of like, what am I
I'm
doing? And
sure.
I got to spend time with my dad. I got some universal truth downloads. It was really sweet. And then the next time I did it, I did even more, and I sobbed my ass off. And then recently, I was in Bangkok for a friend's party, for a friend's 50th, and me and another friend decided to do what I thought was like a gram of mushrooms. And it ended up feeling like Fear and Loathing in Bangkok.
No.
Like, it felt like 5 grams. And all we had was like 4 or 5 pieces of that mushroom chocolate that you were talking about.
Listen, sometimes that shit gets potent as hell. And was it devastating or was it okay?
No, it was fine. But there were some moments where I was like, wow, I don't think I'm making sense right now. And what was interesting is that the party, only her and I were on mushrooms. We actually dosed ourselves earlier than everybody else who was going to do a bunch of Molly. And so for
Oh,
a few hours, her and I were on a totally different journey. And so that was weird. That was weird in and of itself.
I don't recommend that, but it sounds like you did okay. Because one time my friend offered me mushroom chocolate before a dinner, and I took it, not realizing no one else took it, not even the person offering it to me. And so the whole dinner, every one of my demons came screaming into my brain. And guess what my demons say? It's so embarrassing, but this is what my demons say. My lowest vibrational self, the voices in my head would go, "What you just said is so deeply embarrassing. You need to apologize to these people. You know what? Send a text. Tomorrow, send a text. You are so embarrassing. Everything you're saying is so freaka-deeka Dutch. Nobody understands you. You're a weird freak ruining this dinner. Meanwhile, they're all just like cutting into their chicken cutlets, having a ball.
And everybody's fine. Nobody thinks
I'm
anything's
silently
weird.
spiraling.
Yeah, so everybody's set and setting. Very, very important for mushrooms.
Yes.
Very, very important for any sort
Have
of
you ever done ayahuasca? Somebody recommended that to me last night.
I haven't. I've never been. I haven't received the call yet.
I think right now I'm hearing a faint beep, beep, boop, beep, beep, boop, boop. And I think ayahuasca is starting to reach out to me. And
Well, you have to start looking up for, looking into your dieta to get ready. That's your next step. That's
okay,
your next
and
step.
shall be Googling.
Ayahuasca dieta. It's basically like your protocol, your pre-ayahuasca protocol that includes, I'm not a huge, I don't know,
It's like a colonoscopy prep.
Kind of, yeah. No sex, no caffeine, no this for, X amount of days before. Yeah.
Worth it.
I just want to close the loop on how do you know if your boyfriend is gay?
Oh, yeah.
And I think you hear this every now and then. While he's in the bathroom, that's how you know he's gay.
He's gay and he's cheating on you.
Well, actually, when you were like, when homie has secrets, that could also be he's cheating on you.
That's true. He
doesn't have to be gay.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, girly, don't worry about it. He might not be gay. He might just be cheating on you. And thank God he's not a homosexual.
Because that would be ew.
God. Ew, kissing boys? But like having a secret family, whatever. At least it's not gay.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, that's the Grindr notification. And that was the most played sound at the Republican National Convention last year and all years.
Yep. If he's on Grindr, you've got some problems. I mean, this is I want to have an epilogue with this person who sent this in because I want to know why else she thinks he might be gay. Because if it's like he dresses well, that ship has sailed. It is okay to dress well as a straight man now.
Oh, yeah. There's some gorgeously dressed men on Instagram showing other men how to dress well.
Exactly. There's this hot, hairy guy, Edgy Albert. Do you follow him?
No, but we're going to link it in the show notes.
Okay. Any of the straight girls listening, prepare to be sopping wet.
For anybody who's listening, maybe you should be watching instead. Boom.
Edgy Albert.
Oh, we love him. I love this guy.
I mean, come on now. And he posts fashion stuff. He, as somebody who loves body hair, it's really beautiful to witness.
Okay, so the mustache doesn't mean anything, people.
No.
Doesn't mean anything.
In fact, this man is so straight, he has not replied to my message asking him to come on my podcast, but that's okay. We're playing the long game, Edgy Albert.
Albert, my God. 419.
Now Shaun's rock hard.
Yeah. No, jealousy makes me
Oh, that was a jealousy thing?
Yeah. Unhealthy male competition.
Yeah. He's straight.
Oh, if he went to theater school.
Unfortunately,
we could do like a Jeff Foxworthy, like.
Are you smarter than a gay guy?
No, if your man might be a redneck if
your man might be gay if
he went to Juilliard.
Your man might be gay if he goes to the gym and spends a long time in the steam room.
Your man might be gay if you catch him sucking another man's penis.
But the first 6 are forgiven, right, Shaun?
For sure. I said might be gay. And it might be 8 now.
And no gay guys, do not message Shaun, should I be your 9th? It's been done before.
It's a no. Let me choose.
Do you think if we ever were like either on like mushrooms or whatever, would we have like a friendly kiss?
I don't think so.
All right, just checking.
Okay. Actually, just because you asked, maybe. Just because you asked, maybe. I don't really want to make out with dudes.
And you know what? As heartbreaking as it is for all of us listening, it's okay.
Yeah,
And
I think it's okay.
I feel the same way about making out with women. And who am I to judge you for that?
No, you're Eric. You're
My
Eric
freshman
Williams.
year of college, we went to a gay bar for my 19th birthday. I'm a freshman at NYU. I'm new to New York City. And we go to this gay bar called Rush. It no longer exists. But for whatever reason, all these girls from my acting school I was with were like, should we all kiss? And I was like, that's actually the last thing I want to do. But two girls made me do a 3-way kiss with them. And it was probably the last time I made out with a woman. I've never been the gay guy to make out with women. And I don't judge anyone who does, but it feels like kissing my mom. But making out with men is a dream.
Hot and turns you on.
Yeah, I mean, are you the type of person that can make out with a girl and it can be you can get hard from just the kiss?
Sorry, can you repeat that? I was thinking about kissing people.
Well, this is my kissing question is, are you the type of guy who can make out with a girl and just get hard from the kiss and not touching yourself?
100%.
I mean, a good kiss can get you leaky deaky Dutch.
I mean, that's what gets you, that can be what gets you going.
Oh, 100%.
Okay. Also, I just want to say we're talking in binaries here, and I just want to go out there on the record to state that sexuality is very fluid. Can be very fluid.
I'm glad you said that. I also think that what you and I have probably found in our journey of the spectrum is that we're further on the fringes than we maybe originally thought. You probably tried to suck some D just to see where you are in the spectrum, and it turns out you're pretty far hetero. I have tried to kiss girls. I had a girlfriend in high school. I could not get hard. I've not been able to get hard with a girl any time in my life. I've only tried really once, but I'm very far gay. But there are absolutely people who are more towards the middle.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not towards the middle, but I will say something. It's not controversial, but it's a little divulging. It's a little, it's a little personal. But penises turn me on.
Oh, I like that.
But
okay, say more.
Men do not.
Oh, so that's the trans woman of it all.
Yeah.
No, that's great.
And pussies turn me on.
A lot,
but trans men don't because they're men.
Right.
So
I've been enjoying watching trans men in pornographic materials, and I'm learning a lot. What would you say about the penis is exciting to you?
I mean, first of all, I have one, so it's like mono
e mono.
I think aesthetically they can be very pleasing.
Is there Are you the type of straight guy that wants to be pegged?
I have been pegged recently, actually, by a queer woman, and I really didn't like it. And I've been pegged a handful of times in my life, and like I could say that it was objectively a hot act, but I was not turned on.
Okay, so now let's paint a picture. If you are finding yourself with a beautiful trans woman, you get excited about the idea of like your dick and her dick having a ball of a time.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yeah, no, that has happened. That has happened. So yeah, that's my little secret.
I'm glad you divulged because I think that it makes you no less of a man.
Here's another little tidbit. I much prefer, and I hope I don't offend you by bringing this up.
I know what you're going to say.
Uncircumcised penises. Yeah.
How dare you? Are you fucking kidding me? That's my line.
Anti-Semite. You're anti-Semite.
Wow. Okay, so I'm circumcised, so all of a sudden I'm a dirty fucking I am actually, I love that you said that, Shaun. I think that I have only recently learned about foreskin myself. And what a beautiful uncharted territory. I'm also sort of like not gagged, but like sort of intrigued by the now movement of less and less people circumcising their kids. Obviously, as a Jewess, it's in my religion.
Yeah.
But I do know it's now becoming more and more sort of I don't know if the word is accepted or adopted, but yeah, there's the whole movement of people being pissed that they were circumcised.
Oh, yeah. Do you know about Jack?
McBrayer?
Jews against circumcision?
Oh no, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's a pro-intact, Jewish support group or something. Anti-circumcision, basically.
I'm not really angry about my lack of foreskin, but I guess I support their journeys. I mean, I don't know. I guess it is sort of fraught, a thousands-year-old tradition of circumcising us Jews. But wait, do you have foreskin?
I do. Yeah, I love it.
Oh,
I
so
love
okay,
it.
so so my gay journalism question to follow up: when you think about your attraction towards a dick, do you prefer uncut or cut?
100% uncut. I would be
Wow.
like disappointed if it was, again, didn't mean to offend, but like, it's just
No, no,
like,
no. I would have been more offended about Bush.
I'm generally a fan of Bush.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I feel more emotionally connected to Bush than foreskin.
We might be losing a lot of our European listeners who are like, what are you guys talking about? Like, no one is circumcised in a large part of the world. It's not a common practice. In the United States, it's very common. And I think
Yeah,
it's changing. I think it's changing.
it is. I read something recently about it. It's very interesting to me because I think when I was in college, I remember I had a full flashback right now of someone being like, "Did you hear Will is uncircumcised?" Everyone's like, "Oh my God!" Whispers down the hall, "Foreskin, foreskin, foreskin, uncircumcised, uncircumcised." What a weirdo! And now half the boys in school are probably uncut.
Yeah. Anyways, I've hooked up with, a handful of women in my life, and a shocking number of them had never experienced uncircumcised penises, didn't really know how they were different. A shocking number of them didn't even know whether I was circumcised or not, that there was even a
Interesting.
difference. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm selfishly going to ask this, but I'm sure people listening might want to know. Say there is somebody who has not been with an intact dick and they would like to perform oral. Do you think that there is a difference to how somebody performs oral on an intact, uncut dick versus a circumcised dick?
Well, there's there's a decision tree. You have to be like, do you keep the foreskin up or down?
What do you prefer?
I like a mix. I
Yeah,
like a mix. But also because I think that because I am intact, my penis head gets less stimulation on a day-to-day, right? Because there's a sheath covering it, a bit
sure,
of a turtleneck. So,
if you will.
if you will, and I did. The head is a little bit more sensitive on the whole, generally speaking. And so I would prefer probably a softer blowjob. And
Mm.
I don't need saliva and I don't need a lot of hand.
This is good to know because I am sometimes asked oral questions from my straight girlfriends and I love to provide, but I think when it comes to intact dick sucking, I could not teach a class just yet. I'm still doing field research.
Yeah, yeah. And I would love to attend your class at
Oh,
some point.
please.
Yeah,
Yeah,
at
no,
some
we're
point.
always looking for people for auditors.
And I will also say, just as a pro tip, careful pulling the foreskin back. Don't pull it back too far down. It's connected at the frenulum, and that thing can tear.
Dio mio.
Yeah. And when rigorous sex can make the frenulum very sore.
All right,
Something that
we're
can,
all listening. We're not going to pull too hard.
don't
We're
pull
not
too
going to use too
hard.
much hand when we're sucking.
Correct.
Do you like it? Maybe this is a porn move. Do you like it when they take their tongue and like tongue the foreskin
Oh, yeah. With like doing a
with it
little
like
merry-go-round or something.
a little merry-go-round as it's sort of sitting there, sitting pretty?
I don't think I've ever even really experienced that. I don't think it's like, I don't know how entertained I would be by it.
Are you not entertained?
But I strive to be able to answer this question a little bit more completely next time we talk.
I'm gonna definitely have to have you on mine, and hopefully you will have experienced a merry-go-round tongue in your foreskin.
I would be honored to be on your podcast.
Oh, it's happening, baby.
Yeah. I guess, okay, this is a beautiful, natural seg into where can we find you?
You can find me in the cruising forests of LA. You can find me on Instagram at Eric Wills, EricWillz. My podcast is called That's a Gay Ass Podcast. And I've got a glory hole talk show on Instagram called Confession Hole, where people confess through the glory hole. And that's at confession.hole.
Where does that get shot?
Shot at a studio soundstage in LA. This company called Portal A is producing it, and they're really killing it. And I have 12 episodes in the can. We've just released our second of 12, so there's a lot more to come. Margaret Cho is one of those 12. And the clips are on Instagram, and eventually the full-length interviews will be going online, most likely my Substack, which is where my horniest interviews go.
Yeah, I love some of the guests that you've had on that.
Yeah, no, we've been very lucky, and my podcast and all this stuff is the great way that I've been able to meet people just like Shaun. And I just want to again thank you for being a straight guy who is one of the very good ones. Very good ones.
And I want to thank you for your wisdom and your jokes and just your lovely, sweet, funny presence in my life and on this podcast.
Yeah. Well, one day we might live in the same city, but for now we'll be long distance friend lovers.
Well, I do live in a gayer city than you do, by the way.
You win, Shaun, but I'm sucking dick and enjoying it.
And I keep trying for some reason.
No day but today. Try it again, babe.
Sorry, something just came up.
How do you know your boyfriend's gay?
Last question. What does love mean to you?
Love means, I'm going to tell you what my first image came to my mind. Love means smoking weed with your friend and eating ice cream and laughing and laughing and laughing and realizing there's nowhere else I would rather be but high on this couch, giggling with you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. As always, if you love this episode, please do share freely and leave a review on Apple Podcast or a comment on YouTube or Spotify. Your support means the world to me. You can find Eric in the show notes. Everything that he's done is in the show notes. And also, last reminder that if you want to come to a really fun retreat in Western Massachusetts with myself and my bestie / co-facilitator, Kristen Poole, I am hosting a 3-day retreat called Love Camp at Kripalu in Western Massachusetts, June 5th, 6th, and 7th. If you want to bring more play to your life, that is what we will be exploring for 3 days. 3 days of workshops, exercises, play, rest, and connection and community. So if you're ready for a reset and you're ready to play, then this might be the opportunity for you. Go to the link in the show notes for more information about the retreat. And as always, have a beautiful week.